Friday. My name is Jeff Garcia, and I have been given the privilege and honor to introduce a friend of mine. His name is Sedrick Gilbert. Sedrick has been a friend of mine for years, and both of us have embarked on a spiritual journey. And today he is going to share something. We're going to, this is titled, Let's Talk About It. And before we begin, I want to give a big thank you to Harvest Coffee. If you get an opportunity, go inside, get one of those candlelight, what is it called that one? Candlelight, iced candlelight, very delicious. They have pastries inside as well. But without further ado, I would like to take this opportunity and just honor to welcome my brother, Sedrick Gilbert. Woo!
Thank you.
And you're not sorry, you're extraordinary. Good evening.
Good evening.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Sedrick Gilbert. Born and raised here in Bryan College Station. I first of all want to give thanks to the Lord and Jesus Christ, because without Him, I am nothing. I'm going to give thanks to Trey, the owner here at Harvest Coffee. This location is special to me. I have come here and found a place where I can share words of encouragement, edification, and my own story to let people know that they are seen, they are worthy, and they are deserving. To try and leave people better than I found them. At Harvest, and it was pointed out to me by a dear friend of mine, John Hendry, that what I was doing here at Harvest was my own ministry. And I thank you for that, John. I want to thank Leroy Conrad, who a while back told me I should consider doing motivational speaking here. Those seeds that he planted are being harvested tonight. I want to thank my brother Jeff Garcia for being constant life source of encouragement to me. And it's not just me that's standing up here. It's all those in my village who have supported and encouraged me on this path. I want to thank the Santa Teresa Christian Men's Fellowship Dynamic Men's Group that has equipped me through the years in being a better disciple for Jesus Christ. Without what I learned there, I wouldn't be here. I want to thank Sheriff Chris Kirk, who years ago, after hearing me speak, came up to me and asked had I ever considered motivational speaking. He said, because if I hadn't, I should. He told me I would be great at it. Those seeds are being harvested right now. I want to thank the staff here at Harvest Coffee, and especially Elijah Zamora and his dad, who have also been so encouraging. I give a testimony to people of all that Jesus Christ has done in my life. It's a short summary. Tonight I'm going to go into more detail of one aspect of that. The fact that at one time I was paralyzed. A few people have asked, how did that come to be? I gave just a quick summary, but tonight I'm going to go into more detail that I never have before to show the power of Jesus Christ. I'm going to start off tonight reading a poem to you that I wrote that tells you a little bit about some of the experiences that I've had in my life. And it's entitled, I Don't Live There Anymore. I'm no longer burdened by the emotional trauma of being molested as a child. I'm not keeping hurt and pain bottled up inside of me. I'm not the frightened little boy, afraid to go to sleep for fear of what might happen to me. I'm not the kid devastated by his parents splitting up. I'm not still reeling from having my life turned upside down as a child. I'm not the person who too often found himself drowning in depression. I'm not the person who used my words to harm and cut down others. I'm not the lost soul who once attempted suicide. I'm not the person who took dangerous and unnecessary risks. I'm not the person who thought there was nothing for me to live for. I'm not the promiscuous person seeking temporary carnal satisfaction. I'm not the person who found it hard to trust others. I'm not the person who allowed drugs to become the focus of my life. I'm not the person who shut himself off from the world. I'm not the person who let a love of drugs replace his love of people. I'm not the person who found it hard to forgive. I'm no longer the person who lives excessively without restraint. I'm not the person who thought he had it all figured out and his plans for himself were all that mattered. I'm not the person who felt he could do it all on his own. I'm not the person who lashed out and blew up at other people. I'm not the person who carried grudges and harbored animosities. I'm not the person filled with resentment towards those who wronged me. I'm not the person afraid to sin and live in my own truth. I'm not the person who made assumptions and judged others. I'm not the person who was at his lowest when paralyzed and confined to his bedroom, unable to walk. I'm not the person triggered by hurt and pain from issues and matters left unresolved. I'm not the person who let the past hamper and block my gratitude for the present. I'm not the person who, although intelligent and looked smart, was naive and unknowing of God and His Word. I'm not the person who was lost without direction, not knowing my purpose and calling was in life. I'm not the person who hadn't experienced the power of the Holy Spirit. That's who I no longer am. I am now a man of God, Jesus Christ my Savior, filled with and guided by the Holy Spirit. Where I used to be, I don't stay anymore and have no desire to go back. That place has been condemned and bulldozed. My path now clear and assured on a higher journey of positive purpose and submission to the Lord. Thank God for bringing me through the wilderness, out of the dark, into the light, for forgiving me, restoring me, and healing me. That is where I live now. People, they have seen me and how I walk. Only a few have asked, how did I come to be paralyzed? Flat out of being polite, of not wanting to offend. That story goes back to when I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. I had my dream job working in one of the premier hotels, not just in the city of Atlanta, but in this country. Ended up working on the front desk and was named Employee of the Month twice. But then, as people say, I started to feel myself. And said, I can do better than this. They don't truly value and treasure me. So I quit. However, I was still hanging out at the hotel. And one day I was in the human resources office. People were filling out applications, and I was like, you don't want to work. Let me tell you what they did to me. The human resources manager came out and said, Sedrick, you're not even supposed to be here. And I went off. This hotel is not that. This just blah, 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 blah. Clean out of the office, up the stairs, as I was crossing the one-way street outside of the hotel, and still going off in my ego and arrogance. So much so, I did not see a car approaching me. I was hit. Ended up in the hospital with a concussion. When I was released, I was put on painkillers. And a friend came over to check on me and was just banging and banging and banging on the door. So I was running down the stairs trying to get to the door and tripped and fell and hit my head again. But never told anyone about that. Sometime later, totally lost without direction except one to party all the time. I had a friend that came in to Atlanta from New Orleans to spend the weekend. But I become so obsessed with going out to clubs. This friend was only 18 and couldn't get into the club. So I went out partying. Was back at another friend's apartment the next morning, just doing all kinds of things. And I remember, I gotta get him to the airport so he can catch his flight. Took a friend's car. And I was coming around the corner near my apartment. The sun was shining bright. My contact lens popped out. I looked down momentarily, and that was all it took. The next thing I knew, I came to. I had crashed into a telephone pole. There was a friend that was riding with me. And he looked and he said, "We got to get out of here." I went to move, and there was this intense pain. I said, I can't move. There's something wrong. He came around and pulled me out of the car, but there was smoke coming from under the hood. Yanked me out of the car. And he said, we got to get out of here. I was like, I cannot move. He dragged me the several blocks to my apartment complex. And instead of going in the front gate, he decided we need to go over the back fence. He picked me up and pushed me over that fence, and I fell on my side. The next thing I recalled was waking up in the back of an ambulance. It had picked me up from my apartment and take me back to the scene of the accident. And I had two friends that were in the ambulance with me. One of the paramedics said, "Mr. Gilbert, you've broken your collarbone." And I asked, "I'm alive?" And he said, "Yes, why would you say that?" My dad had told me when I was a little boy that Gilberts, we don't break bones, we just die. One of the friends said, "Sedrick, you know you're going to jail, don't you?" And at that point, I felt like my life was over, but I just shook my head. The next time I came to, I was in this long hallway in the county hospital by myself on the gurney with a stack full of tickets on the pillow beside me. I dragged myself from that hospital outside and caught a taxi to go home. My injuries from the accident were never properly treated. I had a broken collarbone, another concussion, and nerve damage on my left side. Years went by, and I started to lose feeling in my foot and had some back issues. I didn't have any insurance anymore and went to Health for All here in town and was misdiagnosed. Went to a podiatrist. He said there was nothing wrong with my foot. Eventually, I couldn't walk and finally got in to see a neurologist. Had tests run and was told that I had bruising on my brain and that I might not ever walk again. In that moment, I said to myself, I don't know how, but I'm going to get out of this wheelchair. It was suggested that I have surgery on my brain, but there was no guarantee it would help me to walk again, and there was a risk that it could cause more damage. I declined. Did intense physical therapy, was placed on multiple medications, and there were many falls, much anger. But eventually, I began to walk again. And I realized when I had said to myself, I didn't know how I would walk again, I know what that how, who that how is now. I walked again, not because of myself, but because of the power of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm going to tell you about an incident that happened just a few years ago. We had the snow and ice storm here in town. One Sunday evening, I had gone out to try and put the cans out for a collection on Monday. It was stuck in the snow. I said, I'll just go back in the house. I slipped and I fell in my driveway. Intense pain in my ankle. I thought I had twisted it. The next day I went to the emergency room and the doctor comes in with his head down. Mr. Gilbert, I got bad news. I said, what, do you have to amputate? He said, no, you didn't twist your ankle. You broke it. And I asked, well, what's the bad news? He said, no, Mr. Gilbert, you broke it in 3 places. I ended up having to get back in the wheelchair that I had been in when I was paralyzed. Never thought I would be there again. But in doing so, it allowed me to reflect on everything that Jesus had done for me before. I saw my life as a jigsaw puzzle. And as I started to put those pieces together, it formed a mosaic of the most beautifully blessed life. But without every piece of that puzzle, I wouldn't get the mosaic. So I embraced that broken ankle, because even though it was broken in 3 places, my faith, my trust, my gratitude to God were not. I ended up having the first surgery of my life, and then went in for my post visit with the surgeon. And he comes in with his face down. Sedrick, it looks like your bone didn't set. I'm gonna have to do another surgery. And I told him, I'm gonna need you to pick your head up. I don't know if it's customary when you go through doctors go through medical school that you leave people waiting for extended periods of time. But as an avid reader, I was reading on the walls here, and I see that you have a degree, and your degree is not from Family Dollar. You've been equipped, so I need your head up so you can go in and do the job again. Had the second surgery, more physical therapy, and got out of that wheelchair once again. And I tell you this, during that entire process, the only pain that I felt was when I initially fell in my driveway. And I attribute that to the gratitude and trust and total submission that I showed in Jesus Christ for the protective covering over me. I once thought I was doing everything on my own, but I know now that the greatest in my life is not because of me, it's because of Jesus Christ. People, they often ask, well, how am I able to be so happy? I said, I don't have happiness now. Happiness is fleeting and of the world. I've obtained peace in Jesus Christ. And from that peace flows joy. And to share my story, things that I always kept to myself before, to let people know all that He's done for me. That they are not alone. That they are seen, they are recognized, and they are worthy. When we have been blessed, when we have been healed, when we've gained wisdom from our experiences, that's not for us to store and keep to ourselves. It's for us to share with others. I try not to tell people who or what they need, but tell you everything He's done for me. And there's a light within each one of us. It can sometimes be obscured by the weight of the world, but it's there. And I want every one of you to know, I see your light, and seeing your light shine has helped to brighten my even more. What all He's done for me, it would be a disrespect not to let the world know. That's just a little bit of my story. We all have a story to be told. We live in a society right now where we have the most advanced tools for communication in history, but yet we're still so disconnected. When we pick our heads up from our devices and actually not just see one another, but feel one another. Instead of giving someone a piece of your mind, allow them into your heart. Show grace to them and show grace to yourself Forgive yourself for the mistakes that you have, for what you think you've done wrong. I know with me, there's no longer any shame, no embarrassment. When you live in your truth, control your narrative, and show up as God created you to be. This is a beautiful day. Take a look around at everything that God has placed in this world that makes it beautiful, and make sure you include yourselves too. We often are our own worst critics, but I challenge you this. When you look in the mirror every day, do you see yourself? And when you see yourself, what do you see? Do you concentrate on what you think are flaws? Or do you realize God created you to be a masterpiece? Accept yourself fully and love yourself unconditionally. And when you do that, it makes you more properly able to receive and give love to others. Jesus Christ is first and foremost about love. That is where I find my joy in being blessed every day to let people know who Jesus Christ is, all he's done for me, and continues to. And that includes meeting each and every person he brings into my contact. When we see people, everyone, we should see with potential. Everyone, we should help them to strive to be not ordinary, but extraordinary. Because we are all God's children. We are brothers and sisters. And we need to treat one another accordingly. I tell anyone today, anything that you're struggling with right now, it helps to release it, to be heard. I'm here for you. If you want to talk to me just one-on-one, I'm available. Because Jesus Christ loves you, and I love you too. I want to thank everyone here at Harvest Harmony for allowing me this opportunity. I want to thank each and every one of you for being who you are, because you truly matter. Don't let anyone tell you that you are worthless, because you are totally priceless. Now, I Jesus Christ. And I'm not just walking against people. Hey, I'm rolling. That joy, when they ask me where it comes from Jesus Christ. He's available to you just like he is to me. I love you and thank you all for coming out for Let's Talk About It with Sedrick Gilbert. Because when we talk, we make connections, we heal, we grow. Let's continue to grow together. We uplift one another. We all rise together. Thank you and good night. Hey, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways.
Hey, we didn't say karaoke. Not say karaoke.
No comments from the peanut gallery. Thank you all for coming out. God bless you and have a wonderful weekend.